board president tonight. John Anderson is absent. I am the vice president, Mike Munda, and I will be conducting this meeting this evening. Okay, if we can all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. First item on the agenda tonight is the approval of the agenda. We do have one change to the agenda, or excuse me, to the approval for the agenda tonight. And that is in our personnel recommendations, item F. That is numbers 68 through 81. We'll be adding 82 through 85, and we'll read those names and actions as required. Any other changes to the agenda tonight? No other changes? Then let's move on to recognitions. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ms. Lee. So, move to approve. Go ahead.
Move to approve the agenda.
Second. Second was who I said? Ms. Yagi?
I think Tom and I did it.
Motion by Wall, second by Giardi. Mrs. Conway?
Yes.
Mr. Drake?
Yes.
Mrs. Biondi?
Yes.
Mr. Walls?
Yes.
Mr. Munda?
Yes.
I have 5 yes, motion carries.
Now we'll move on. Recognitions tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Munda. Very proud of some youngsters who are here with us tonight, and we're going to start with 2 young ladies who, believe it or not, ended up with perfect score 36s on their ACT. I don't know for everybody if you're aware of quite how rare that is and special that is, but Mr. Giacaris is going to step forth and tell us a little bit more information about our 2 young ladies.
I'm here to introduce Laura Judge and Iwan Liu. These are 2 seniors here at Warren Township High School who received the absolute highest score possible on the ACT, which is a 36. Every year the number of students across the country who score that number varies, but on average, less than 0.1% of all high school students who take the ACT earn that score. To kind of put that in perspective, in the graduating class of 2015, only 1,598 of more than 1.92 million students earned that ACT composite score of 36. It's a tremendous accomplishment for these 2 young women. We are extremely proud of Laura and Hyman. Their dedication to their academic progress is an example for all of our students to follow. We're grateful to our staff who provided the opportunities for all of our students to achieve significant academic progress during their high school experience. We are very fortunate to have supportive families in our community and supportive families for these 2 young ladies to support them with the environment that is needed for their academic success. So I just wanted to, again, publicly congratulate Laura and Hyman on their tremendous accomplishment.
Any ideas from the school?
Anywhere you want.
Congratulations.
Tell me, I thought you were going to ask, any secrets to how you did that? Hard work? Also, we do know the neat thing is this time of year, a lot of our students who are seniors obviously start that process of that college search, right, becomes so important to them and so meaningful and special to them. And obviously when our students do well on the ACT or other assessments that are used for college admission, obviously it just helps open doors for them and their future. So it's really, the 36 is what it is, and you should be very proud of it, but even more proud of who you are becoming as students and your futures are really bright. So congratulations. Laura, who do you have with you tonight?
This is my family, my dad, my mom, my brothers and sisters.
And then that's the victim one. Hi, who do you have with you tonight? And obviously your families are important. Let's give them a round of applause. We do have one more recognition this evening, just in time. Mr. Thomas, I believe, is coming forward to talk about two other young ladies who have done remarkable things. And
Hello, Alan Thomas. I am in charge of our Warren students who go to the technology campus. Last school year, we sent, look at my notes, 15 students to Springfield to compete in the state championships for the Skills USA competitions. It's a career and technical competition event, and we had two young students take first place in Springfield. Belinda Cavazos, who's next to me here, and Miss Jennifer Castillo. Jennifer, there's a voicemail on my phone. She can't make it, so she won't be here tonight. These two young ladies then went to Kansas City and competed with hundreds of students down there. In your category, there was over 60 students. She is in the culinary arts program, or was. She's a graduate of Warren. She graduated in May. And she did place in the top of that category, did not take first or second, but did very well in Kansas City, as did Jennifer. She's a medical assisting student, and she did very well there also placed, but did not take in the top two places, but they're competing with, in per category of at least 65 students in competition per category. Belinda currently is a student at the College of Lake County. As a student here at Warren, she excelled. She was straight A student here in classes as well as Tech Campus. She really was a hard worker, an excellent student of mine for 2 years. A wonderful young lady. Jennifer is currently a certified nursing assistant program at Tech Campus. She wants to be an RN. So that's how they did. She did very well, and thank you. Her parents are in the front row there. Broke her wrist just recently. Makes it rough in culinary arts. Thank you.
while you're up here, Mr. Thomas, can you, just for we have a very strong partnership with Tech Campus. Obviously, we appreciate the fact that we send several hundred students to Tech Campus.
Between 300 and 350 is our normal number.
And can you just, for anybody here who's not as familiar, remind the audience with some of the other programs that our kids can involved in?
Yeah, they have 20 programs out at Tech Campus. We send to every program out there. Belinda, you were culinary arts, medical assisting, criminal justice is a huge program. Automotive is a huge program here in Boise. The cosmetology program, we've sent 50 girls last year. This year we're sending 35. It's a very big program. Building trades, firefighting. Child care is very big. And the nice thing is that in these programs, like in the child care or in the CNA, if they do well, they take a state test and they get a state license, and after they graduate, they can be a certified hairstylist, a certified early childhood education teacher, a certified CNA. Most of the CNA students are going on in school to become registered nurses. That is their goal anyway. So it is a big part of our day at Warren. We send a lot more students than any other high school in Lake County.
Awesome. That's another example of opening doors for students here in Lee Warren. So that's a great job. Thanks for giving us that background too.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, moving right along. The next item on the agenda is the reception of visitors. We had nobody sign in to speak to the board this evening. Is there anybody present that would like to come up and speak to the board tonight? No? Okay. President's report. John, yes, please.
Thank you.
Please, thank you very much for coming. Thank you. You're welcome to stay though. So, as I was saying, John didn't have anything for me to present tonight. We do expect him to be back at our next board meeting. There'll be some topics that will be coming up there about our Triple I conference and some other things that best left for board president to bring to the board. Next up then, committee reports.
We have no committee reports this meeting, but we will have 2 committee reports at our September 22nd meeting.
Very good. Next up, superintendent's report.
I do have a few items. Thank you, Mr. Moda. First off, we did have, in the last month, we did have 4 FOIA requests to the district, all of them from resident Peg Marar, so those all came in the last month. I want to remind board members that if you plan on taking pre-conference workshops at the Triple I conference, please make sure you let Ms. Love know that as soon as possible, so we can make sure we get those registrations taken care of, as well as for the October 14th Fall Illinois Association of School Board Members dinner in Fox Lake. There's legal topics with that, so if you're interested in attending that, please just let Jean know that as well. 2 other little pieces of item as a reminder were just the strategic planning slide there. Just a reminder that tomorrow is September 9th, and so tomorrow is our release date for our strategic planning survey. We're very excited about this. We've been working, a committee of people have been working very hard internally to try to make sure that we have questions, about 40 questions, but it's a very quick survey for parents, certified staff, non-certified staff, and teachers and students. And so we're trying to make sure that about 37 of those questions or so are identical questions, if you will, so that we can kind of compare parent responses as opposed to our staff responses and student responses. So we're really excited. We earlier, a few months ago, we had pinned September 9th as kind of our date to release that, knowing that we would get that data back prior to the strategic planning meeting starting up here in a few weeks. And so we're excited that tomorrow we're going to release that survey. And we're going to administer to the students in a combination of possibly some PE classes at each of the buildings, so we'll make sure that they have good opportunity to take it, as well as to our parents. We will send out versions in English and Spanish to our parents and allow them to access that through, we'll send out a blast email to all of them and ask them to please respond if they would, and our staff obviously are a lot easier for us to directly email them and ask them to respond. So we're hopeful for a good number of responses in the survey, and so that's just any word you could pass along to the communities. That would be great. So that's the piece on the strategic plan.
John? Is the public going to have a questionnaire?
The community at large, we will have access to it on the website. The parent, we know we have enough responses with our 4,000 students and their parents to get a big enough pool. But what we did want to do is it'll be live on. In fact, if you go to the website tomorrow, you'll be able to access it right from the website, because there may be a lot of people in the community, including people who have graduates, right, they could answer the questions and probably still be familiar to most of the general questions in there. Some of the questions, obviously, some people are more familiar with than others from every topic, but we think there's a broad enough range of questions in general enough that people with familiarity with the district will be able to answer. So we did want to keep it open, very open for responses.
Okay, thank you.
We also we're also trying to, with that, communicate to people that the October 24th date, right, is a date of the strategic planning session. Is generally, and we hope we get a lot of people who just want to come out that morning. It's an open session. We're going to ask people to send in their names and emails, but that morning, anybody who's wanted to come and play play a role in where we're going in the future, will have a chance to come and participate. We'll try to quickly catch them up to speed on the more broad-based strategic planning process, but then obviously they may come with a specific praise for Warren or area that we need to improve, and we want to obviously get their feedback.
Thanks, John.
You're welcome. And I think that concludes.
Moving on to advanced placement, AP and ACT scores. Ms. Garrett.
This is always my favorite time of year when I get to share the good news for the district. Once again, our AP teachers and AP, the students who take these exams, are outstanding. The teachers should be commended for the many review sessions they have held, not during the school day, it was on weekends, it was after school, and just the time that they take to prepare these students is an inordinate amount of time. So I want to commend those teachers, I want to commend the students because, and I'm just going to not go through the whole thing, but just some highlights. Our pass rate has been about 86%, and that increased to 89.4%. That's like almost 90%. 90% of our students pass their AP exam. That's with a 3, 4, and 5. And with the new law that the Illinois legislature put into place, like right now, anytime a student gets a 3, 4, or 5, it will be counting towards their degree at that college. And the other thing, our mean score, I keep in mind it's out of 5, is 3.66, which increased from last year, which was 3.63, but every little bit helps. Illinois, just so you can get some comparison, is 3.01. United States is 2.82, and globally, it's 2.84. So again, our scores are outstanding. The Equity and Excellence of an AP program, our graduating class summary is 48.3%. Last year it was 46, 5 years ago it was 31. And basically that says this is the number of our seniors who scored a 3, 4, or 5 or higher on at least one AP exam at any point during their high school career. So I always want to get the 50% mark. I think I make a motion to cheerleaders. Maybe they should come in and cheer. There you go. There you go. The number of AP scholars we had this year has increased. We're up to 509. Last year it was 460. So you can kind of read all the different ones there. 18 of our 25 AP courses increased their scores. The grade level results, it just kind of tells you the more you take an AP exam, the better you're going to be. And that's why we want to encourage, especially those freshmen and sophomores, to take an AP exam. Because even if they didn't score very well at that point, by the time they get to be a senior, they will do better. The one thing that we always try to increase is our subgroup areas. And we're getting better. We're just not quite there yet. Because we'd like to have the percentage of students taking the AP exam be the same subgroup as it is in the school report card. And obviously we have 2 areas there that we need to increase. But the one thing I found very interesting is when I compared the 2015 students with the exams that they took, those 2 groups did a very nice job of the number of exams they took per student. So, they're around 2 exams per kid. So that's kind of where we would like, that's a very good number. Obviously, we have the students who take 5 or 6 AP exams, and those are our stellar students, which were probably the 2 that were sitting right here today. So our goal, I think, as a district is we want to make sure that we give more students an opportunity to take these AP rigorous and challenging courses like we would in college. Now, as I look back historically, this is like my little fun fact, I thought, when did we start AP at Warren? Where did all of this come about? I came in 99, 2000, and we had a few. So I just kind of did a 30-year historical perspective. That is the furthest I could go back. That's the information that I have in my office. In 1985, I'll just kind of read some of these numbers to you, we had 35 exams. This year, we had 2,381. So it's like, wow, what an increase that was just from 30 years ago. The number that passed in 1985 was 24, so 24 out of 35. So they had a pass rate of 69%, and we obviously right now are almost at 90%. So it was just a little bit of information that I thought was pretty amazing in over 30 years how we have increased with our AP students. You can see back then in 1985, 2% of our students were taking AP, and right now 26% of our students were taking AP. Okay, then there are some in the packet, there's some reports just from AP that you can look at. The other two things that I'd like to talk about are basically the ACT results from the graduating class in 2015. And we are very consistent with what we had last year. So we kind of went down in one area, I think it was, we went down in reading, but we went up the same amount in mathematics, so we still had the same composite at 22.5. The other thing I gave you was a growth chart from the class of 2015, what their Explore score was, what their Plan score was, and their ACT score. And that growth is, it ranks one of the highest growths that we have at Warren. So when they increase from Explore to Plan, it's about a 3.8 increase of a score. Okay. The other part is, this is our 6th year in a row that we have been nominated as on the Washington Post, the America's Most Challenging High Schools. And so in the state of Illinois, we ranked number 33 out of 77 schools, and I have them all listed for you back in the packet. And nationally, we rank 1,158 out of 2,386. So I always like to see that. That compares our AP scores with the number of students in the graduating class. So there's just some information I gave you the website where it's at. So anyway, we had a very exciting year last year. I'm very proud of all of the accomplishments, and our teachers are phenomenal. I think our curriculum is phenomenal to go along with that, so I'm very proud of it. Questions?
Awesome.
Yeah.
It is.
Thanks, Willie. One of the
Thank you, Willie.
pieces with the strategic plan coming up, one of the pieces that should keep on our radar, 3 things Willie said that jump out. One is the growth piece, right? The piece about really looking at where students, how far we bring them along the way in terms of their progress here, and being able to track that is so important, not only for us organizationally, but for students. And then the second and third thing are the actual AP and ACT tests themselves, because there's no question there's direct benefit to students on those 2 assessments, whether it be getting entrance into places or getting college credit on before they go in. Those are 2 areas that anything we do to help kids maximize their scores and reach their potential, obviously are worth the investment. And the last strategic plan, and probably the one before that, but for the last number of years, it has been a point of emphasis for the district and the administrative team and the teachers, and as a result, especially those AP numbers are awesome in terms of just the participation of our kids and the scores that we're achieving. So great work. Mr. Junkiris, are you coming up with Michelle? Oh, didn't know who was
Mentoring program?
Didn't know who was volunteering tonight.
We're gonna do this together.
Okay, so after meeting the new teachers, we thought it'd be nice to explain what we do in our mentoring program so you understand what new teachers experience here at Warren. So first and foremost, the goal of the program is to support, retain, and grow professionally our teachers so that they reflect the values of the organization, which I was really happy to hear a lot of the new teachers say that one of the things that's going really well for them and they enjoy about Warren is the collaboration, because that's something we value as an organization for our teachers and students. And so our mentoring program is a 3-year program, and new teachers are matched up with a mentor. Typically, it ends up being the leader of their professional learning team, because it's a natural setting. So if they usually their PLT is based on what they teach. So they're in their team setting, their PLT leader is typically their mentor. And so in the first 2 years of the program, new teachers meet monthly, formally with their mentor, but pretty typically weekly, because every Monday when they have their team meeting, they're supported by their mentor. And so monthly, they're able to discuss timely topics or things relevant to their goals with their mentor. So they have that presence. One of the things we value here at Warren is continuous development, and part of that is being reflective. So what we ask our first and second year teachers to do is to have their mentor observe them in their teaching, and they meet them with their mentor and reflect on their teaching. They, through collaborative discussion, choose a professional goal with their mentor, and then that's a continual part of their discussion as they're getting observed and reflecting on their teaching. Another component is to reflect on the teaching of others. And so our first and second year teachers get into 4 different classrooms throughout the year, at least one outside of their subject area, so we like that cross-curricular focus, and then they reflect on the teaching of others. And a lot of this reflection is housed in an e-portfolio that new teachers keep, and this allows a setting of them to reflect, but also for administrators and their mentors to collaborate also in the document. So that's the platform we use for that reflection piece. Another component for first and second year teachers is ongoing professional development that we provide. We provide Warren workshops after school. Those topics are suggested by the teachers themselves, but obviously relate to instructional focus that we have here for the year. And the focus of those is not just to come to a session and learn about a topic, but we have a follow-up session after they work to implement that, to support them along the way, and then we also ask them to take what they learn to their professional learning team. So we want them to be contributing members of the team, even as a first and second year teacher, to bring that back and discuss with their team. So that pretty much describes what the first and second year of the program looks like, and I'll hand it over to Chris and he can explain what year 3 looks like.
So, excuse me. Year 3 is a lot different than year 1 and 2. Year 1 and 2 is a lot more structured for our new teachers. In year 3, we want them to develop a personalized professional growth plan. Like Michelle said, we want to grow the professional practice of our new teachers. We want to train our teachers to be lifelong learners, much like we want from our students. So in year 3, begins with the new teacher and the mentor sitting down, looking over evaluations and those reflections from their observations with their mentor over their first 2 years, and looking at what do I want to accomplish, or what goal do I really want to address to help myself grow professionally in my 3rd year. And they work to craft a goal. And then they sit down with myself at Alvin and Michelle at O'Plain, and we go over the plan. So what is your goal? What's your action plan? What are the steps that you're going to take? What's your criteria for knowing that you've completed this goal when we meet in April? And so we lay that process out. Then what different activities will you do? What components will you include in that? Then that's included. This is all kept in their digital portfolio, so they begin to collect artifacts. They begin to work on this project. And then in December, that new teacher should be about halfway through their goal, and they'll sit down with Michelle or sit down with me, and we'll talk about how will they report out. What's the best way for them to report their findings, report their progress, and then discuss that with us. We'll set a plan, we'll set a date, and then they will report back to us at the end of the year on how they achieved their goal. If they did not achieve their goal, where are they at in their progress towards their goal? Because again, this is a goal. We want them to grow professionally. It might not be something that they're going to accomplish in 1 year, but we want them to be looking at what is their professional practice and how are they going to best grow as an educator. And we want to really kind of ingrain that process that we're never completed, never finished products as educators. We always want to continue to grow professionally. So how we measure the effectiveness of our program, because we really want to be very critical. This is like I said earlier, this is one of the most important things that we do. A lot of the great successes that we've talked about tonight are a result of our teachers, and all of our teachers were first-year teachers or second-year teachers here at one point or another. So some of the criteria that we used, teacher retention is amongst the highest in Lake County. That was reported by the Daily Herald last year. Our teachers come here and they don't leave. That continuity is huge. So we want our teachers to feel welcome from the moment that they walk in the door, and this new teacher mentoring program is a big part of that. Teacher ratings, our teaching staff is ranked primarily excellent or proficient, which are both, we have high standards for our educators, so that's saying a lot of how our teachers are performing in the classroom. Our teachers, when they're observed over time by the same evaluators, they display distinct areas of growth. So from the first time that teacher is observed, and maybe some recommendations for improvement, when that person is observed again by the same evaluator in their second, third, fourth year teaching, those areas, initial areas of recommendations for improvement have been addressed. They've clearly focused on them, they've worked with their mentor, and they have worked to make those areas of maybe former weaknesses areas of strength. And that's a consistent pattern of behavior that we do see in our teachers. And ultimately, we want feedback on the program, because our program, it might work now, but it's not, this is not, again, it's not a finished product. We always want to make sure what we're doing is the best for our organization, it's the best for our teachers in the current state of Warren Township High School. So we meet 3 times with our mentoring committee. Mentoring committee is comprised of administrators, union leadership, mentors. And we sit down and talk about what's going well in the program, what would they like to see included in the program, any changes that they would like to see made. And actually, our year 3 this year is a new addition based on a lot of the feedback from our mentoring program. So we're very excited about the work that is going on in the mentoring program. We have a lot of amazing teachers that are happy to share their expertise with us and our newer staff. So if you have any other questions, we'd be happy to answer them.
Thanks to Chris and Michelle, you guys do a great job with the program. The board members, a couple of board members a couple months ago had asked when they were dealing with some staffing, normal staffing recommendation, hiring stuff that happens every month. A question that came up had to do with, well, are we being successful in retaining our teachers? It kind of seems, do we have a lot of turnover, or don't we have a lot of turnover? And I thought it was a great question from the board's perspective to reflect on that, because they see bits and pieces of our staffing recommendations, but you guys being able to share tonight our retention and what a great job our mentoring program is doing to make sure that our first-year teachers are successful is awesome. So thanks for directly answering that question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to new business. Agenda item A, discussion regarding procedures for the sale of district land and property.
Thank you, Mr. Munda. I'm going to distribute to the board for, reading outside the meeting, a response to the processes associated with the sale of land. And we had had a few discussions since I joined the district about potential land sales, and there are different points in the discussion about commitment to them. And so I just wanted to make sure first, one of the requests was, can we have just a statement of what the process is involved? And for sure, in either case, the board would, if the board decides to do that definitively, there would be a resolution attached with that. So if any piece of property came up where the board decided they wanted to sell that either to a private party or to a public party, we would obviously take another vote for resolution just to approve that. Just wanted to make sure that was clear, because that was one of the questions that the board had asked. I don't think in the discussions it kind of ebbed and flowed, so until I would get obviously a further direction from the board and Mr. Anderson on whether that would appear on our agenda again anytime soon, I wouldn't assume it will, but if it does, at least the board is aware of the procedures that we would need to take both as a board and administratively to make that happen. I will say that the presentation, though, one thing that we are intending on moving forward with was the wetlands presentation that was given to the board, not related to the sale of property, but the wetlands discussion that was had and the direction for the administration to investigate that and come up with a proposed agreement. We think we are ready to come back at the September 22nd meeting with an agreement in regards to that end of Gow Beach and the wetlands issue. So that was kind of a separate issue, not related to the sale of property, but it is related to the presentation. I think we'll have an agreement ready by the 22nd.
Correct.
So please make sure, let me help at least to get that information out to boards.
Yeah, so please take some time, review the document that Dr. Aldridge provided to us, and we'll be coming back up shortly. Any other questions?
Yes. Yeah, I know.
Mr. Waltz.
The item agenda is the discussion of the potential future sale of the property. One topic of conversation I would like to at least pursue in conversation only at this point, obviously, is, as you've mentioned before, Mike, you can't build land. And what I would like to at least have up for discussion at some point in time is potential leasing of the land, taking a number of those acres and putting a solar farm on that property. I think we should lead by example, and I think that that would be an area that I would personally like to have discussions about and see if that's a feasible opportunity for that land.
I agree, Jim. I think every opportunity we have to see what we can do, which is going to be beneficial for the township, for the high school, for all the parties that are involved. I think we owe it to make sure that what's possibility to happen, because one thing you can't have more of is land. You can bring more money and you can have more kids coming through, but we do have a nice piece of acreage that if it were to be sold off or moved in another direction, that's all part of the conversation. But I think we would be selling everybody short if we didn't take a look at possible opportunities. And if it's one opportunity or another, I think at least hearing what's out there and bringing it back and discussing those opportunities, I think would be a mistake on our part if we didn't do that. So.
Jim, have you looked at the property?
I've seen the landscape of it, yeah.
So what were you thinking would be a possible solar use?
Well, I believe that 50 of those acres are viable for such a project.
But we'd have to clear the land, correct?
That's a detail I'm not familiar with.
Some of this discussion, some of it's related to strategic planning, and in any strategic plan, obviously you're looking at needs and resources and facilities and issues related to both now and the future. So it may come up broadly through the strategic plan in terms of our facilities and size and capacity with our enrollment. More specifically, though, obviously we can do more investigation into more specific kinds of inquiries that any board member may have regarding potential work there. But we will, if it's all right with the board, just because we've been fielding a few calls, until we get a resolution or more firm action on a sale of the land, but any signage that is out there right now, bringing inquiries into the district, unless there's an objection from the board, we'd like to remove it because we have taken a number of calls. And at this point in time, we're just kind of held off because we don't have a real commitment, and we think it's probably better, at least just for now, just to have those down. So.
Absolutely. Anybody, any thoughts on that? Any objections to that?
No objection.
Thank you.
Moving right along then. The approval of the French Mission Program. Good evening.
Good evening. All right, I'm back for the second trip. The trip we went on a couple of years ago, I just provided you with some pictures of our last trip. It ended up being a very good experience, definitely worthwhile for our students. The dates this year are the 1st through the 16th of June. We added a day, that's a change from before, to add one more day in Paris because the student feedback was that it was very rushed to just have the 2 days. Obviously it's short because we wanted to give them a taste of Paris, so we're adding another day in Paris. The cost is $3,200, which does reflect an additional hotel night and some transport changes. It's open to French 3 and 4 students. Another change from the last trip. Last time we weren't sure how it was going to go, so we wanted to open it to as many students as possible and let the French 2 honor students go. They did well, but because of the internship piece, we feel that we would like the French 3 and 4 students to be part of it because they have better communication skills. It was a little bit of a struggle. I talked to them and they said it was great, but boy, 1 more year of language would have been beneficial. We are in discussion with Mrs. Garrett as far as having them get credit because they are doing the internship piece of it, which is educational. They are doing language classes in the morning and They did have to turn in a project at the end of the 2 weeks to their teacher that was graded, and so to get the credit for that would be very nice. Anticipating 2 chaperones again, and it has the homestay, language classes, they do short excursions, the days are full, definitely. And the benefit to the students is just huge. I mean, they were working in all kinds of little shops in the town. Arles is a very manageable size. It has there's the heart of the city. The kids were able to get from the school and then walk to their internships, go to lunch, meet together, come back. We all met at 3 o'clock. We went on a little excursion to a museum or a local type place, and then a couple of times we went on full-day trips to towns that requires a city bus too. But very well organized. The person, the director, Katie Thornton, is just pretty remarkable in how well she had everything organized and how much support she has within the community as far as the housing and the businesses' willingness to accept our students.
Good, thank you.
I think it sounds like a great trip. I wish we did that back when I was in high school.
I did years and years of exchange programs, both here and at my previous school, and this is probably the best combination as far as, and to be able to say you worked in a cafe in France, you worked in a pastry shop in France. How neat is that to be able to, put that on applications and resumes in the future. So it was definitely a great opportunity for us.
Thank you very much. Hopefully Ms. Garrett can work that out with credit. It sounds like a wonderful opportunity for an internship.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Any questions from the board? And I need a motion.
I move to approve the French immersion program in Arles and Paris for June 1st, 2016 to June 16th, 2016.
7.
Motion by Walls, second by Conway. Roll call.
Thank you. Mr. Drake?
Yes.
Mrs. Bianchi?
Yes.
Mrs. Conway?
Yes.
Mr. Walls?
Yes.
Mr. Munda?
Yes.
I have 5 yes. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is the Spain trip proposal.
Good evening.
Evening.
I'm Courtney Lerner, Spanish teacher here at Alvin. This is Maria Rosado, also Spanish teacher here at Alvin. Some of you will remember us. We are here again to formally propose our Spain trip over spring break, this coming spring break. And the proposed chaperones would be myself, Mary, and also Ligia Ponce, all tenured teachers. Mary has plenty of years of experience taking these trips.
I'm one of the teachers that
In a good
came and
way.
never left.
Never left?
Yes. Exactly. And she's also organized and led these trips, so she's helping me
Yes,
kind of.
since the retirement is kind of creeping up on me, I'm mentoring this one to take over for the trips. Teaching her how to do it,
Yes,
basically.
yes. And so we are going with the same company we've used in recent years, this World Strides company, and they're very reputable, very easy to work with. The parents love working with them. We would take a max of 20 students with us, and we hope to get that full 20. So it would be the full time of spring break, and it's a full trip. It's packed, and we would start Madrid, move on to Valencia, Tarragona, Barcelona, and different than the French trip, but similar in that they get a lot of first-hand experience, and they get to do some cooking with the teacher, and just what we believe, again, an invaluable experience for these students. And the cost is approximately $3,600. And that covers everything with the exception of daily lunches, which are not costly at all in Spain, as well as if they choose to do some shopping, buy some souvenirs. But it is just a wonderful experience, and we would hopefully, if we are able to go through with that, we would have a parent meeting as soon as next week to start to get the ball rolling, just because there's a process, and there's also a small discount that the students can get if we start this. So we're just hoping to get some interest, and there are no travel restrictions at this time to the area. We are just super excited. And anything else to add?
No, one thing that'll be different this year, that hasn't happened in the past is that, well, we found out that spring break this year includes Easter, apparently. I didn't realize that. And so what's exciting about that is Holy Week in Spain is an event. That is a big one in Spain, and our kids have not seen that. And that is an experience to see every day during Holy Week. Will be processions in the streets. They're gonna learn a whole bunch more of different things than they did before. And like she said too, we have those activities like we bring into a cooking school, and the chefs that teach regular students to go out and become chefs in restaurants, they teach our kids how to make typical dishes, and then we eat them for dinner. They're also gonna learn how to dance flamenco with a professional flamenco dancer, and then we're gonna see a show. So they get those kind of experiences as well. So, and it's always been a very good time and a good trip, so.
We've had great feedback from the families that have gone and our students, and so.
And this will be the third time we're going in 6 years, if you all go, yes.
I just have a question. Have you thought about maybe going like right after school for a almost a 2-week program?
We would lose like half, well, probably more than half of our students, because seniors would not probably be interested in that. Yeah, and the trip is only for juniors and seniors, and we're doing 2 honors and up, but just for juniors and seniors. So if we couldn't have, seniors wouldn't go, then we wouldn't get 20 kids to go.
Okay, all right, just a question. Thank you for explaining.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your time this evening.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? No other questions? Then I'll need a motion.
I move to approve the Spain trip proposal from March 19th through March 26th, 2016.
Second.
Motion by Biondi, second by Drake. Roll call.
Mr. Wallace?
Yes.
Mrs. Conway?
Yes.
Mr. Drake?
Yes.
Mrs. Bianchi?
Yes.
Mr. Manda?
Yes.
I have 5 yes, motion carries.
Agenda item D, which is approval of the application for recognition of schools. I believe that is Ms. Garrett.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good
Thank
evening.
you.
Thank you, Ms. Garrett.
It's the typical application for recognition of schools. We've had it in the board packet. I don't know if you have any questions.
Any other questions by the board?
No.
Anything from the back readings? Really, thank you very much for your time this evening. If there are no questions, we'll make a motion.
I move to approve the 2015-2016 application for recognition of schools.
Second.
Motion by Drake, second by Walls. Roll call.
Mrs. Bianchi?
Yes.
Mrs. Conway?
Yes.
Mr. Wallace?
Yes.
Mr. Drake?
Yes.
Mr. Manda?
Yes.
I have 5 yes, motion carries.
Next item on the agenda, letter E, approval of the payment of bills for 9/8/15. Any questions from the board about payment of bills? No questions?
I move to approve the payment of the list of bills on September 8th, 2015, in the amount of $1,600,017.58.
Second.
Motion by Walls, second by Conway. Roll call.
Mr. Drake?
Yes.
Mrs. Bianchi?
No.
Mrs. Conway?
Yes.
Mr. Wallace?
Yes.
Mr. Manda?
Yes.
I have 4 yes, 1 no, motion carries.
Next on the agenda, letter F, approval of the hiring recommendations. We did have a change in that. So that was to include the amendment to item F, personal recommendations, as posted 68 through 81. The amendment was 82 through 85. That was Eva Zamudio, retirement, Nancy Brandes, new hire, Matt Meldano, new hire, and Sean Pitts, new hire.
I move to approve Exhibit A plus, which includes personnel recommendations 68 through 85. Do I need to say it's posted, because 4 of them
I think I already said that the first ones are posted. I
Right.
read the second ones,
Okay.
so I think we're good. We just need a second.
Second.
Motion by Biondi, second by Drake. Roll call.
Mrs. Conway.
Yes.
Mr. Walls.
Yes.
Mr. Drake.
Yes.
Mrs. Bianchi.
Yes.
Mr. Munda.
Yes.
I have 5 yes, motion carries.
Agenda item G, approval of the regular minute meetings and executive session minutes of August 18th, 2015 minutes. Any questions on those minutes? None, then I'll need a motion, please.
I move to approve the regular meeting minutes and executive session minutes of August 18th, 2015.
Second.
Motion by Conway, second by Walls. Roll call.
Mr. Drake.
Yes.
Mrs. Bianchi.
No.
Mr. Walls.
Yes.
Mrs. Conway.
Yes.
Mr. Munda.
Yes.
I have 4 yes, 1 no, motion carries.
Agenda item H is the approval of the review of closed session minutes from November 18th through July 14th. So this is an approval to keep those minutes closed. Any questions? Can I have a motion, please?
I move to keep the executive session minutes closed for November 18th, 2014, December 16th, 2014, January 20th, 2015, February 10th, 2015, February 24th, 2015, March 17th, 2015, April 14th, 2015, April 28th, 2015, May 12th, 2015, May 26th, 2015, June 9th, 2015, June 23rd, 2015, and July 14th, 2015.
Second.
Motion by Biondi, second by Drake. Roll call.
Mrs. Conway.
Yes.
Mr. Walls. Mr. Drake.
Yes.
Mrs. Bianchi.
Yes.
Mr. Munda.
Yes.
I have 5 yes, motion carries.
Agenda item I, the approval of the settlement agreement, general release for student 2016-01. Any questions? Motion, please.
I move to approve the settlement agreement and general release for student 2016-01.
Second.
Motion by Drake, second by Walls. Roll call.
Mrs. Conway.
Yes.
Mrs. Bianchi.
Yes.
Mr. Walls.
Yes.
Mr. Drake.
Yes.
Mr. Munda.
Yes.
I have 5 yes, motion carries.
Nothing else? Need a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Motion by Drake, second by Conway. Roll call.
Mrs. Bianchi.
Yes.
Mr. Walls.
Yes.
Mrs. Conway.
Yes.
Mr. Drake.
Yes.
Mr. Munda.
Yes.
Motion 5 yes, motion carries.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you coming tonight. Have a good night.
No.
Safe travels.
So, yeah, no,
I mean, those tickets on those orange signs on the side of the road?
Well, yeah, yeah.